Ever feel like your energy is just off?
Mm.
Like, you can't pinpoint exactly WHY, but something's not quite right.
Yeah.
Well, we're diving into a text today that might give us some clues. It's called The Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine.
Oh, classic.
It's considered like the foundational text of Chinese medicine. It could be over 2,000 years old.
Wow, 2,000 years. That's amazing.
It's written as this dialogue, right, between the Yellow Emperor and his physician, Qi Bo.
Okay, interesting.
And what we're going to uncover today is how they viewed the five Zang. So that's the heart, lungs, liver, spleen, kidneys.
Ah, the Zang.
And get this, they're not just seen as separate organs, but as this like totally interconnected system.
Yeah, that's a key concept in Chinese medicine. The idea that everything's connected. You can't just treat one thing in isolation.
Right, exactly. And one of the coolest things the text talks about is this idea of mutual governance.
Mutual governance.
So each Zang, it's got another organ that it kind of controls, but then there's another one that controls IT. There's a whole cycle.
Oh, I see. So it's not a hierarchy. It's more like a web.
Yeah, like a web. Like the heart influences the kidneys, but the lungs influence the heart. Round and round it goes.
That makes sense. It reflects a very holistic view of the body.
Totally. And they take it even further. Each Zang, it's also got an element associated with it, like fire, water, that kind of thing.
Right. The five elements, a fundamental concept in Chinese philosophy.
And a flavor.
Yeah.
Like certain tastes go with certain Zang.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting.
I know, right? Like you are what you eat times 1,000.
Exactly. So let's say someone's eating a ton of salty food. The text suggests that might affect their heart and blood vessels.
Whoa. Makes you think twice about that extra large order of fries.
It's not about completely eliminating certain flavors, though. The key, as always, is balance.
Moderation, right?
Exactly. A balanced diet that includes all the tastes in appropriate amounts. It's very much in line with modern nutritional advice.
It's so cool how this ancient wisdom still applies today. Oh, and speaking of ancient wisdom, the text also links each Zang to a specific outward sign of health.
Oh, that's right. They believed your inner health was reflected in your appearance.
Yeah, like healthy kidneys
Yeah.
equals lustrous hair. Makes you think twice about those shampoo commercials, right?
It does. But it's important to note this is coming from an ancient text. Modern medicine has a much more nuanced view of these things.
For sure. But it's interesting to think about, right? How our inner health might show up on the outside.
Absolutely. And the text goes even deeper, describing both healthy and unhealthy color signs for each Zang.
Okay, so give us an example.
Well, if someone's liver is functioning well, the text describes their green complexion as like vivid emerald feathers.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful imagery.
Right. But an unhealthy green is compared to withered grass. Quite a contrast.
Yuck, withered grass doesn't sound good at all.
Not so vibrant, is it?
Definitely not. It's amazing how even today we still pay attention to color changes in medicine. Like if your skin looks jaundiced, that can be a sign of liver problems.
Absolutely. So while the specific interpretations might differ, the idea that our outward appearance reflects our inner state remains relevant.
Totally. And the thing is, this text doesn't stop there. It also touches on things like meridians.
The meridians, yes.
Those channels of energy that flow throughout the body.
Like a network connecting everything together.
Right. And qi, the vital life force itself.
Key. Such an important concept.
And they even talk about pulse diagnosis, which, get this, is still practiced today.
Oh, absolutely. It's a key diagnostic tool in traditional Chinese medicine.
So wild, right? This ancient practice still going strong.
It's a testament to its enduring value. And, there's even this fascinating detail about...
Wait, hold that thought. We're going to have to dive into that in the next segment.
Sounds good.
So we're back, and we're still deep in the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, right?
That's right.
And we were talking about all these amazing insights into the five Zang and how they're all connected. But now I want to get into this concept of qi. It's often translated as like vital life force or energy.
Yeah.
But it's got to be more than that, right?
Oh, it definitely is. It's not just some abstract energy. It's what actually makes everything in our bodies work, keeps us going, keeps us alive.
So it's like the battery that powers everything.
In a way, yeah. It's what allows our organs to function, our blood to circulate, even our minds to think, everything.
Wow. And the text, it says that this qi, this vital energy, can be affected by a lot of things. Like even the food we eat.
Oh, absolutely.
And I remember this one part, super specific about how different flavors can impact each Zang.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like each Zang, it's got this flavor that it kind of prefers, and then there's one that might actually mess it up.
Right, exactly. Like for the heart, the preferred flavor is bitter.
Okay.
But if someone's eating a ton of salty food all the time, that could throw the heart's energy off balance.
So like too many chips, bad for the ticker.
Well, it's not that simple, of course. It's more about the overall dietary pattern, not just one food here or there.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting to think about how what we eat affects our energy.
Oh, for sure. And that's why the text really emphasizes balance.
Like with everything.
Exactly.
Uh,
The diet with all the different tastes in the right proportions, which, by the way, is pretty much what modern nutritionists recommend too.
I know. It's amazing how this ancient stuff still holds up. But okay, it's not J-tar about what we eat, right?
Nope.
The text also says that different types of food can actually influence the flow of qi itself.
That's right. Some foods are believed to help it flow smoothly, while others can kind of clog things up.
Like a traffic jam for our energy.
Exactly. You want to keep those pathways clear, and this is where the meridians come in, remember those?
Oh yeah, the energy highways that connect all the Zang.
Right. So different foods can have specific effects on different meridians, making the qi flow better or worse.
So it's like choosing the right fuel for those energy highways.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
So what are some of the foods that the text actually mentions?
Well, one thing it talks about is that cold or raw foods, even though they can be refreshing, they can sometimes slow down the flow of qi, especially for the spleen and stomach.
Okay, so maybe too many smoothies or salads aren't the best idea.
It depends on the person, of course, but in general, those organs prefer things warm and cooked. It helps them work better.
That makes sense. Like a warm bowl of soup just feels good for the soul, you know?
Exactly. Our instincts often align with this ancient wisdom, and the text also mentions that pungent foods, like ginger and garlic, those are really good for moving qi.
Oh yeah, ginger is great when you're feeling kind of sluggish.
Right. It warms the body and gets things flowing. But food isn't the only thing that matters. The text also talks about protecting yourself from external factors that can mess with your qi,
Okay, like what?
especially wind and cold. It says they can actually penetrate the body and disrupt the flow of energy.
Whoa, seriously. So like bundling up in winter isn't just about staying warm, it's also about protecting your chi.
Exactly. It's like those elements can create blockages in your energy pathways.
Suddenly I'm feeling a lot more grateful for my winter coat.
Me too. But it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff.
Okay, so what else is there?
The text emphasizes that we can actually strengthen our chi, make ourselves more resilient.
Oh, that's good. How do we do that?
Well, exercise is important, of course, and rest, but
Mhm.
also cultivating a positive mindset.
So it's not just about what we do physically, it's also about our mental and emotional state.
That's right. It's all connected. And this actually brings us to another really important point, the connection between emotions and qi.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more.
So the text says that if we're constantly worrying or stressed or angry, those emotions can actually deplete our qi.
Whoa, so my tendency to overthink things could be messing with my energy.
It's possible. Those strong emotions, they can create kind of like knots in your energy pathways, and that restricts the flow.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But wait, so does that mean we have to, like, never feel any negative emotions?
Not at all. It's normal to feel a range of emotions, but the key is to become aware of them, to not let them control us. And the text actually suggests that we can actively cultivate positive emotions that actually nourish our ki.
Oh, so it's like we can choose to feed our energy with good vibes.
Exactly. Things like gratitude, spending time in nature, just cultivating a sense of inner peace. Those are all ways to support the healthy flow of qi.
That's really empowering. So it's not just about avoiding the bad, it's also about actively creating the good.
Absolutely. It's a holistic approach. And it reminds us that true well-being involves taking care of ourselves on all levels, physically, mentally, and energetically.
Makes sense. And speaking of taking care of ourselves, remember that part we skipped in the last segment? The one about facial and eye color combinations.
Oh, yeah, that's a really interesting one.
I want to hear more about that.
Let's dive into that next.
All right, so we're back and ready to tackle this thing that kind of blew my mind when I first read it. Remember how the Yellow Emperor's Classic mentions those facial and eye color combos?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
Like certain combos were seen as like super ominous.
Right, like red face with green eyes, for example. That
Yeah.
was a big no-no.
Yikes. I mean, it makes you wonder how they even came up with that stuff.
Well, remember, this was a time when people were really attuned to the natural world, to those subtle signs and
Oh,
patterns.
okay. Yeah.
And they were also very focused on balance, harmony. So any kind of extreme deviation from what was considered normal could be seen as a potential imbalance.
Gotcha. So, like, if someone's complexion was really off or their eyes were a weird color, it might have been a sign that something was wrong internally.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that in those days, they didn't have the same diagnostic tools we have today.
True, true.
So they had to rely on observation, on those external clues to get a sense of what was going on inside the body.
That makes sense. Though I'm definitely glad we have things like blood tests and x-rays now.
Me too. But it's still fascinating to think about how those ancient practitioners viewed the body, how they saw those connections between inner and outer health.
It's like they were trying to decode this whole secret language that our bodies speak.
Absolutely. And that actually brings us to another aspect of this system that we've been dancing around, pulse diagnosis.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it a little bit before.
Right, but it's such a key part of Chinese medicine that it deserves a deeper dive.
For sure. So, remind me, what exactly VAS, pulse diagnosis?
It's a way of assessing someone's health by feeling their pulse, but it's not as simple as just counting the beats per minute.
Okay, there's got to be more to it than that.
Oh, definitely. Practitioners, they feel the pulse at different locations on the wrist, and they're paying attention to all these subtle qualities, like the depth of the pulse, the rhythm, the strength, even the texture.
Wow, it's like they're reading a whole story just from someone's pulse.
Exactly. Each of those qualities can tell them something about the state of the qi flowing through the body and about the health of different organs.
So it's like they're listening to the energy flowing through the meridians, those energy pathways we talked about before.
Yes, exactly. It's like having this direct line to the body's internal communication system.
That's wild. So can they actually, like, diagnose specific diseases just by feeling someone's pulse?
Well, it's not quite that simple. Pulse diagnosis is more about assessing the overall balance of energy in the body, identifying any areas of excess or deficiency.
Okay, so it's more like a holistic snapshot of someone's health, not just a yes or no on a specific disease.
Right. It's about understanding the root causes of imbalances so they can be addressed before they even manifest as symptoms.
That's actually pretty cool. It's like preventative medicine in a way.
Exactly. And it takes a lot of skill, a lot of practice to really master this technique.
Yeah, I bet. To be able to pick up on all those subtle nuances, it's like learning a whole new language.
It is. It's like learning to listen to the whispers of the body.
And that's really what this whole deep dive into the Yellow Emperor's Classic has been about, isn't it?
It is. It's about recognizing that our bodies are constantly communicating with us, offering us clues about our health and well-being.
And that by learning to listen, by understanding those ancient principles of balance and harmony, we can live healthier, more vibrant lives.
Absolutely. And I think that's a message that's just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
Totally. So there you have it, folks. Another deep dive complete.
It's been a pleasure exploring these fascinating ideas with you.
And until next time, keep listening to those whispers of wisdom from your own amazing body.